buyer needs, seller needs, listings coming up, pocket listings, whatever. New format, you must use the mic so that people online can hear you. So if you have something, if you have a listing coming up, anybody have listing, buyer needs, seller needs, okay?
I have a new listing in Spanish Fork and it is listed, but we're not putting it over MLS till this Friday. Gonna have a big, it will not be shown unless there's a special circumstance that you need my help, then call me till Friday or till open house the 5th. But if you've got a buyer, let's figure it out. They had to move. It's a Rambler, 699, 1,800 square feet per level, 6 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2 family rooms, giant yard. It's in Spanish Fork. It's on 1100 South and 1065 East. One of the very best areas of Spanish Fork. It was built in the late 90s. It's a little bit dated, but not very much. It's all brick. It's got all kinds of tons of parking. You know how parking and toys and things like that is a big issue with all of our clients lately. It's in really, really good shape. It's like I said, a little bit dated, but not bad. It has a really good floor plan, quite open, higher ceilings, vaulted ceilings. It's a rare one to be in that area. There's nothing in that area for under 700. So let me know if you need to show.
Apparently.
There will be one. It is formally listed. It's just not on MLS yet, but will be. So, yeah.
So it's signed. It's just not listed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's either 2.5 or 3. It's either 2.5 or 3. I'm not sure which.
That's the golden question always, right?
Yeah.
We don't listen. You have to lead with BAC or nobody listens to their.
And I have another one coming too that will be similar price range. So keep it if you've got somebody looking like that. Good areas of Spanish Fork. Yeah.
Awesome. Pass it down to Brooke.
All right. So I just listed everybody's seen them. It's one of those units that its own units, not hooked together like a townhouse type of thing. It's its own unit, but it's in a little PUD of 20 units. And it's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, actually a bath and a half on the main level, the 2 bedrooms and a full bath downstairs. It was originally supposed to be a 55 plus community. For some reason, it didn't get recorded that way is what I'm hearing, but there's out of 20 units, 11 of them are widows or widowers. Spotless property, new carpet, new kitchen. They just put an $8,000 awning over the back patio with a fan and light in it so you can hang out with family back there because that's what they used to do. Yeah, or widows, yeah. Yeah. So, it's in Orem. Jim Smart was the builder, if you know Smart Construction, and he's built several of these types of places. It's right behind my house, and started listing prices $530. So I've been on there for a week now. So 3 bedrooms, 1 up, 2 down. Master bedroom has a master bath. It's really nice, vaulted ceilings with a skylight in the master bathroom. And then I've got another one coming up.
Wait, Brooke, question?
Yeah.
Since it's supposed to be 55 and older is what you're hearing. Is all the maintenance taken care of or no?
It does have, in practice, it's probably got the cheapest HOA in the town, 125.
Does that mean
That's landscaping. Yeah, landscaping only and snow removal type of thing. What's that? The main yard is basically the front yard. The backyard is the covered porch, covering awning with awning. So that one's $530. Then I've got another one on the next street over. $750 is where we're going to start on it. About 3,500 square foot, 5 bedroom, 3 bath, I believe. They were supposed to sign the listing last week. I still haven't seen it back this week, so I don't know if I'm going to have to redo the paperwork or not. But they had a son come home from a mission, so it kind of messed up all their plans of moving out and being out and vacant. But it is vacant now. Just don't have the paper back yet. paperwork back. The house across the street listed for 750, sold for 785, but it was spotless. This one's not spotless, but still a
Got
nice
few
home.
spots.
It's on a third of an acre. Yeah, it does have a few spots.
All right.
Yes. That's it.
You got a
got a
question,
question?
Phil
I have one.
Okay, Phil Sam's got a listing.
Okay, I have a listing in Saratoga Springs in the Loch Lomond area. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-story, fully fenced backyard, really cute. Currently listed at 455. Yes. Saratoga Springs.
Shalana,
I have a new listing in Vineyard. It's a 5-bedroom, 4-bath for $625. Finished basement. You can rent the basement. You can also put in a walkout. It's a great area for the college students. It's the water's edge. Young families. Shows well. It's really nice. So
and she's worried she hasn't had any showings. so
haven't
go look
had
at
a
it
lot
at
of
least.
showings. So yeah.
Anybody else? Tracy's got a listing coming up, apparently.
Actually, it's a piece of property I'm selling. It's already listed with an agent. It's
Is it a Fathom agent?
prior to getting here,
Is
yes.
it a Fathom agent?
No,
Okay, you can't talk then. No, I'm just
Okay.
kidding. Go ahead. What
that's
you got?
what I've heard here. So they're 2 quarter-acre lots just over by Orange Junior High, and there's a 1/2 acre with a house on it. Here's a piece of property that I developed here. There was someone that was going to buy the 2 quarter-acre lots and build on it, and it looks like he's flaking out. And then the person buying the house, it got really anyway. So it's back up going. But if anybody's
So
looking
it's
for
2 quarter-acre lots?
2 quarter-acre, yeah, it was an acre, and it was divided. So the house is on a 1/2 acre, and the backside has 2 quarter acres. So it's
How much for the lots?
they were 275 and they dropped down to 250. So
250.
Yeah. And the house is 560. So in
Okay, awesome.
case you want.
Behind you. Gloria,
Hi, does this thing work?
you don't have to hold it super close or anything, and we can't hear any differently. It's just people online.
I have a townhome listing in Harriman. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. The basement is not completed, not walkout, but it's an end unit. And it's listed for 520. It's a little bit above the market rate. However, the sellers are open to seller financing. So it's been on market for 10 days. If you know anybody interested, let me know.
Awesome. Thanks, Gloria.
I have a listing coming up in West Valley Friday. It's a single family home, 5-bedroom, and 2-bathroom. It's going for 450. So watch out for that.
Nice. 450 is a good price point. West Valley City, cheapest place to build in Utah currently, or buy in Utah currently. True story. Did you have something, Wade? No? Okay. No, it's better pricing than price. Price per square foot, believe it or not.
Oh, sorry.
Kay's got one more.
I forgot. I did take a almost $500,000 property price drop on the land in Santa Quin, 21.77 acres, surrounded with DB Horton subdivision. I was up there Sunday. It's beautiful right now. It could be developed. It could be just a ranch. It could be a retreat with 5 or 6 homes on. It's got a lot of good views, varied elevations, and that price, it's just barely over 3 million, is really good for 27. And all the improvements are right there. So, and Santa Quin City is very cooperative on whatever somebody would want to do there, other than they probably wouldn't go to condos. But it's really priced right now. I've got a lot of builders looking at it, as well as some land corps, but still available, just a lot better price.
Need to talk to the Edge boys. See if they want-
We have been talking
Okay,
multiple times.
awesome. All right, anybody online have anything before we move on? I don't know if anybody has anything or not. I'm gonna guess no, since nobody's saying anything and we do have volume. If I'm wrong, somebody text or call me. All right, we'll move on. Our sponsor for today is Edge Homes. Glad to have them with us. Jack and Paxton are here. They've got a little presentation to give to us. So that you guys know, if you're here to get the big announcement, It's right up front, right? So you don't have to wait long, and after the announcement, you can all leave. After you throw tomatoes and eggs, you can all leave. It's fine, right? Lunch? No, it's Jimmy John's. Jimmy John's is coming, so come in, have a seat.
Well, you said it was gonna be at the beginning.
No, it's gonna be at the beginning after the vendors. You actually have to listen to these guys first, and then we're gonna do it. So all yours, guys.
The mic is for Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom only.
Okay, this is a massive microphone. Feels a little awkward. Okay. Signs up. Yeah. Okay. So my name is Jack Andrews. I've been with Edge for 10 years. I've sold hundreds of homes, helped clients all over the state. I want to reiterate just a couple of things. One, I am not Edge Homes' marketing guy. Okay. Meaning I am here asking for your vote, asking for your business, asking to partner with you, asking for an opportunity to show you what I do and what I can provide. I wear a little bracelet here that says Unreasonable. Who's read the book Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara? Okay, fantastic book. I am unreasonable in the things that I provide and the information that I provide right at your fingertips. My mission in life is to be so proactive as to give an easy button for the realtor partners that I work with. And so if you are curious about the resources that I provide, reach out to me anytime. We don't have time to cover them today. I provide a proprietary realtor portal that I'll just give you one example of that. Yeah. So one quick example of that, all of this information you can't get on our website. Stuff like what's the current price sheet? What about all the floor plans? What about deposit policies? What about seller disclosures for all our communities? What about the color palettes and things like that? That's not easily accessible information. Furthermore, I take all of this information, and if you'll scroll up just a little bit.
I have to scroll.
Well, I didn't. Okay. And then down here, if you wanted to register a client, request a showing, make an offer, review a contract, anything like that, I make that all accessible and interactive in my portal where you don't even have to leave the computer screen. One screen, everything pops in from the side, populates, you can review. You don't have to leave a single computer screen. And I'll give you one example. Kind of a let's go fishing expedition. I had a buyer or I had an agent yesterday. She says, I want single family homes in Saratoga Springs under 600K. Doesn't want to have to go to the MLS and look up all these things with everybody and call 14 different Edge Homes agents and try and schedule one, and others don't call back, and it all just slips through the cracks, and it's brain damage. Okay. With me, you go one place, and in 10 seconds, I showed her everything that I had. If she wanted to go to a floor plan, we'd filter from 30 houses to 2, okay, in a second. And then she clicks the button, schedule a showing, boom, pops up the form, and we schedule a showing and go to work, okay? And I could go further. It's like, do you need north facing, east facing? Do you need white cabinets? Do you need it to be a certain lot size? Do you need it anything? And in 30 seconds, I can get you that information. Okay, that is easy button. I appreciate it and we look forward to any opportunity that you guys might want to give me. If you would like access to those resources, shoot me an email to jack@edgehomes.com with the caveat that if you gain momentum and are able to provide information to your clients from the resources that I provide, I simply ask for your integrity that you will use me as your agent rather than using me. Does that make sense? Okay. Want to introduce Paxton Guyman. Paxton is general counsel for the Edge Homes, for Edge Homes. Absolutely fantastic. The prettiest and kindest junkyard dog you're ever going to meet. Long story short, he knows his stuff, is very, very well experienced, and is expert at navigating and negotiating through many of the challenges that we have seen recently. I look forward to seeing what he's got to say. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jack. Hey, will you be my Vanna White too?
I will.
Thank you very much. Jack's great. Jack is a sales agent, just like many of you. And what he does is really quite amazing how he's made it so that you can, in one stop, go and see every listing, every property that Edge has available. And it's an active real-time inventory list, literally updated all the time, all day long. So it's pretty amazing you can get that information. I'm not here to talk about that though. I'm here to talk about buyer's agent commissions. I am an attorney. I practiced law for over 20 years in a private firm. And then 2.5 years ago, I joined Edge Homes. So I am general counsel for Edge Homes now. I help with land acquisitions. That's why I'm interested in your Santa Quinn listing. All sorts of entitlement and development, very involved in that drive-in theater project you probably saw in West Valley that had so much public controversy. We will be developing single family homes and townhomes in there, and it will be a beautiful new community in West Valley. It'll be great. It really will. Now, everybody who loved the swap meet will have to find a different location for a swap meet, right? Or drive-in theater. Speaking of that drive-in theater, that was there for a long time. I think I was consummated or conceived there. I think there's a pretty good chance I might have been conceived or consummated. Who knows? Anyway, I don't know why. Like many of you may have been. I don't know. It depends on the show. I don't know the name of it. Yeah, but we're that is good. It's pretty easy to get off target here, isn't it? I'm sorry. Anyway, as many of you know, there were some pretty big changes in the realtor community effective last month, August, regarding buyer's agent commissions. And there's been a lot of questioning, like what's going on now? How do we do this? How do we protect ourselves? And so we are being proactive. We're going out to different brokerages and explaining what our policy is. We have a written copy of it, but I can explain it in very simple terms. So you might know, if you step back a few years when we were going through COVID, and there were all these price increases and competing offers, and many home builders were slashing their buyer's agent commissions during that period of time. 2, 1, half, whatever it was, they were really reducing that. We never did. We stuck at 3% the entire time. And here's the reason. We depend on the buyer agent community. You are so important to our business. We are the top selling home builder in the state. And why? I think a big part of that is because we are fair with the buyer's agents who come to us. 89% of all of our home sales in the last year had buyers who were represented by an outside agent. 89%. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. And it's because as a company, as a culture, we value the role you have. We never try to cut you out of a deal, ever. That is against policy. We try to include you. As an example of that, unlike some builders who have 2 different price sheets, they have one price sheet for buyers who are represented and a lower price sheet with lower prices for buyers who are not represented. We don't do that. We will never offer a lower price to a buyer simply because they are not represented by an outside agent. Oh yeah, builders they do it all the time. It's interesting. So our policy is this. The NAR rules now require that you have a signed buyer broker agreement before you even show homes, which is a challenge in itself, right? Essentially, before you've even earned their trust and shown your competence, you have to get them to sign a buyer broker agreement. And that buyer broker agreement is supposed to define how you'll be paid, the amount of your buyer's agent commission. A corollary to that is that we, as a seller, cannot pay more than what your buyer agent agreement says, your buyer broker agreement says is your commission. So we've said simply this: when you make an offer for one of your clients to buy a home from Edge, include a copy of your signed buyer broker agreement so we can see what you've negotiated for yourself. And here's the kicker: whatever you've agreed to in your own agreement is what we will pay at closing if we accept your client's offer. There's no limit, whatever it is. Fine. If your offer is acceptable, and that's just one of many factors we look at, right? What's their timing? How are they going to qualify for financing? Are they a solid buyer? Is it a solid offer? Doesn't matter to us if it's 2%, 3%, 4%. Whatever you've negotiated for yourself, we will pay that. And we ask you to be fair to yourselves. You deserve to be paid. you've all had clients where even a 10% commission would seem low compared to the effort that those clients took, right? So that's our policy. Yeah, question. I mean, personally, I've only seen as high as a 4% buyer's agent commission. Yeah, done.
Let's say that your BBA has a 4% commission and you want to negotiate that down, you could do that. I mean, it's kind of like saying earnest or escrow instructions. It's like
Right.
saying I'm going to contribute a portion, but you can reduce your BBA commission in a negotiation
If you want to, yeah.
because that's considered, you're still maintaining your fiduciary responsibility and making the transaction about them. But you can't go the opposite direction. You can't say, I've got a BBA, but hey, Edge pays 3, so I'm now going to negotiate that up. Can't do that because that's making the transaction about you.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. Also to this, understand that when you negotiate a percentage for your commission, a percentage of the price, our policy is that we base that commission off of the final closing price as shown on the HUD settlement statement, including all of the options, upgrades, and lot premiums. A lot of builders don't do that. They say,
and over ask competing offer.
yeah, we don't pay on seller incentives. That would be paying twice on the same thing essentially. So for example, right now we have a 3% seller incentive among other programs, which means if we accept your offer, whatever that price is, we will contribute 3% of that price for your buyer to use however they want, whether it's to buy down their mortgage interest rate, to cover some of the down payment, to cover closing costs. We contribute that. That's a good program.
Is that part of the preferred lender thing, or is that just you guys?
Preferred lender, you can do that with a preferred lender that's built in. You can also use an outside lender and still get that 3%, but you have to put down higher earnest money. 10K condo, 15K townhome, 20K single family.
Oh, nice work, Jack. Yeah, but it is available. Yeah, isn't that nice?
Not just for your buyer, but for their lender. So the lender darn well better be able to perform.
Yeah, our message today is simply we value you. We want you to be fair to yourselves as you negotiate your own commissions. We will honor whatever you've negotiated. We want to work with you. One more thing. You're all busy. Let's say that you've got a buyer who really wants to see an Edge house, but you are not able to go show that house. One, either because you don't have time, or two, because you haven't signed a buyer broker agreement with them yet. Call Jack. Jack can show them the house for you. And he will never steer that buyer away from you. In fact, he will steer them back to you to make sure you get the benefit of the buyer's agent commission. That is our company policy. So feel free to take advantage of Jack's offering and his availability to show your buyers our inventory and help you earn a commission.
And not just roll up to a model home. Okay.
Right.
Because if you roll up to a model home, I have lots of agents that will register clients with me. And they're protected. But then their client rolls up to a model home, gains a rapport with the sitting agent, whoever's there that day. And then you come back and say, well, I use Jack. And they're like, well, I haven't met Jack. I don't like Jack, or I don't know Jack. And
I don't know Jack.
And so they end up going with the other agent. So if you will help me be protected, I will help you. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
how
the
it
point
works.
of a partnership.
Any questions? No. Thank you for your time. Yeah, go right ahead.
So have you guys straightened out a couple years ago, there were big issues where, clients were charged at the end of closing like $150,000 over the contract price because, increase in material.
Oh, let me talk about that. So we never did that. I'm so happy to tell you, Edge Homes never did that. And to my knowledge, we might be the only builder who never did that. So you're talking about the time during COVID when people would sign a contract and then they're looking at closing 12 months later after the home is built. And during that 12-month build period, the price of materials and supplies skyrocketed. And so many home builders were saying, yeah, arrived. I know a lot of them that did. We're saying, hey, we need to renegotiate the price. We can't make this work. We're going to cancel the contract if you don't cooperate. Put the buyers in some bad positions. And a lot of them increased the pricing because of that. We have never done that. We never will. When we sign a contract, we will honor that price, even if our costs go up. So thank you, sir.
Thanks, Maxon. Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Edge is awesome. Question, Nicholas? Did you have a question, Nicholas?
So any other paperwork needs to be other than the copy of the BVA?
Oh, okay.
Anything else with the offer? Cause I did a deal about, well, I closed yesterday, but it was very lengthy.
Yeah, so we now, and there were some questions originally, we've got this simplified. In our form of purchase agreement, which you have to use if you're gonna make an offer to get one of our homes, we inserted a very simple provision where it says, you represent that this is the buyer's agent commission in your BBA, and we as the seller agree in the contract to pay you that. So there's a contract provision built into our form of contract to protect your commission. Yeah.
If anybody needs my name or contact information, wants to reach out, take a picture of the screen, take my card, look in the back of the buyer's guide. My name is Jack Andrews.
So you have a contact information?
Yeah.
Paxton? No, he doesn't take any calls. Just contact Jack.
If
Well,
you get
if you need Paxton, we'll get you his
It's P.
information.
Guyman at Edge Homes.
Yeah, we'll get it.
PGYMN.
Just a quick, plug for Jack. I've used Jack, as my Edge Homes agent, and he does phenomenal. I'm hooked up to the portal, so it's fantastic, so.
Thank you, Wade.
Finished basements.
We do.
You have to get a build lot. Right now, about 90% of our product is quick move-in homes. And we won't finish basements because that requires a re-permit and then a delay, and it's a challenge. But if you can get a build lot from dirt, absolutely, and we can give you exact cost for that. You can also put kitchenette in basement, stuff like that. So reach out to me on those.
Yeah, that's a good point. We never do basements post-closing. Hire a separate contract. But if you want to do it up front, we find a build lot, we can do it.
Thanks, guys. Edge
Thanks,
is awesome.
everybody.
We love Edge.
Have a great day.
Love their support. All right, next up, Jason Peterson. And if you notice the last name, it might match Maya's last name. And so he might have some relation to Maya. And he's also a Fathom agent. So get some time to-
And I finish post-closing Edge Home basements. So I'm in real estate. I've been in real estate for a while, but I don't necessarily compete with all the other agents. I'm only in it. I started in New Mexico. Now I'm here in Utah, but I do stuff for myself. So fix and flips, things like that. So if you want to partner on one, you have one, or you need a contractor for one, that's my main business. Is I'm a general contractor. I do a lot of little things, handyman kind of things. I know there's a lot of stuff post-closing, pre-closing. You need a bid for whatever concessions, repair allowance. I've done it all. I do free estimates, finished basements. I've built many hundreds of new homes. I've done it all. So if you have any projects that need, I mean, I've done just about everything. I do full home remodels. Give me a call. I have a stack of cards I can leave here, but they're also in the on the card holder. Yeah, the front wall. Questions? Anyone?
Bank owned homes, are you really, can you do all this stuff on it?
I can. Yeah, I will get into it, but if you've ever tried to buy a bank owned home, it's a little challenging, but yeah, I'll do it. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jason. Appreciate it. Next up is one of my favorite inspectors, Mike Thompson. He's with Brick to Batten. He's been doing homes for me for a long time. And many of you who reach out get his name when you ask for a recommendation. And so we'll give Mike just a few minutes.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. So as Jeff said, I'm Mike Thompson. I own the company Brick to Batten Home Inspections. I've only been doing that since about February, but I've been doing inspections for 8 years. So some of you may know me under a different company name. On-Site Home Inspections is who I used to work for. I've since stepped out on my own. Business has been great. So yeah, so I, like you guys, I'm also a real estate agent. Okay, I've had my license for a couple of years. And that does a couple of things for me. One, it gets me all the information that I need to do my home inspections properly as far as the paperwork. But it gets me in front of you guys like this. And I understand how your deals go. My job is not to come in and kill deals. Okay, there's a lot of home inspectors out there that is their goal, to come in and just destroy that deal and start over. I work very hard to help your clients understand what that house needs, how to fix it, so that we can have guys like Mr. Peterson come in and fix stuff. So please, I've got a stack of cards over here on the bookshelf. I got a bunch of cards here as well. Several of you have used me, and I appreciate that. I always enjoy working with agents. I love when you guys show up to inspections. You know, it's another set of eyes, and I always appreciate that. Do really well with first-time home buyers. I think that was maybe our first one, was a first-time home buyer. I take the time to educate those buyers. Okay. I had an agent talk to me yesterday. She said, we didn't do anything but stand at the front door and talk about the house. I will give you a full tour through the house. Where's the water shutoffs, gas shutoffs? When should the filter be changed? All of that. So that's every walkthrough I do. So, and then you guys are welcome to schedule at bricktobatten.com. I do have a schedule tab on there, so you guys can look at my calendar. You can schedule your inspections on your own if you'd like. I just approve it on the back end. Okay. So double check the price, square footage, all that kind of stuff. So you're welcome to call me. My phone number is up here as well. It's on the card, or you can just schedule on the website, which is great. Any questions?
And the reports get like to you super fast, which is the best part.
Yeah, I do same day report, lots of pictures. It's all color coded for you. Super, super easy to read. If you don't like reading home inspection reports, there's cliff notes in the back for you. That's kind of your punch list, you know, things that you can ask for. Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm even saying it right.
I do. Yeah, I'm fully InterNACHI certified. I'm a certified master inspector. So been with them for 8 years. Yeah, great.
Maybe I missed it. What's your geographic?
Yeah, so I cover all the way from North Ogden, all the way down to Nephi, Grantsville, Park City, been to Price. I don't like to go to Price, but I've been there. It's a long ways. It's a long ways. Yeah. I have been way out to Delta. I mean, if it's worth my time, I will go, especially for an agent like Jeff. So yeah, it's like I cover the whole valley. Anything else? No? Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Mike. All right, next up, we're going to talk about in-house partners. Got 2 slides left, and then the big announcement. It's coming, I promise. I promise. As much as you're maybe not going to like it, I promise it's coming. Okay. So first in-house partner is Verus Title. Wendy and team, if you'll come up and feel free to grab the mic and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about Verus. Again, as a reminder, guys, Verus Title is owned by Fathom Holdings. Fathom Holdings owns Verus Title, Fathom Realty, and Encompass Lending. Okay, so they're all part of it.
Hello, everybody. I wanted to introduce myself. Wendy Jeffrey. I have been brought on to be the VP of the West Division for Verus Title. I'm excited for this new partnership. I come from a previous ABA relationship, real estate company that was owned by a title company. And I'm excited to bring what we've learned in the past 5 years with having a joint venture like that. We were able to dial in a huge closing process of let's make it easier. Let's not make this harder. We want to be your guys' partner all along the way. We found, we went through line by line and found the touch points every single time a realtor was talking to a client, the title company, the loan officer, the inspections, all those touch points. And we found how we can streamline that process and make it simpler and easier for everybody. We find the best way to work with everyone is to be super proactive, meaning your client will know beforehand any questions that they may have. We are actually at reaching out to them consistently so that you're not bombarded with the title questions we're actually educating them all along the way. We want to be a huge partner with you guys as the agent, making sure you're informed quickly if anything was to arise, any issues. And I think you'll be excited to learn the team. That's what I want to introduce you as we bring them on. I know we kind of had some changes in the past couple of months. We brought on another partner title company that came on as well. The traveling title team came on. And now the next set we've come in. So we've grown. We now have a South Jordan office. We have the Lehigh office and we have our St. George office. And we're all working together, collaborating there. So we're excited to start working partnerships with you guys. We want to be, like I said, advocates with you to help you along the way. Our team comes with myself. I've been in the industry for over 30 years. Jessica, one of our escrow officers, has been in it for over 25 years. And Beth, who couldn't make it, she had a closing end of month, has been in it for over 25 years as well. So the escrow officers here locally to you guys are very, very well educated. Jessica herself, just in the past 5 years, closed over 5,000 closings. So she has a lot of experience. We have seen everything you can possibly imagine. And yet we still learn every single day something new in titles, some new thing arises, some new way of buying a house and selling a house always comes across. And so we want to be your advocates to help you understand maybe what somebody's asking or what's being presented type thing. So we want to, I'll pass this over to Jessica. Jessica is, like I said, our escrow officer that you can work with.
Right. Well, Wendy did a great introduction. I can't pay your BAC like Edge can, but you know, none of that stuff going on over here. But yeah, I've been in the industry for a very long time. So I love the roller coaster. So all the fun stuff that comes, if you guys have anything, you know, hard that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure what to do with, or title issues, let us know. We can totally help you. You guys work your tails off to get your listings, to get your buyers. You guys do all the hard work up front to get these people. So we'd love to have you guys help us close it out and finish everything out and help with that. So, but we appreciate you guys. So nice to meet everybody and we'll kind of get a face to everybody. So, but other than that, I think, well, yeah, so yeah, big announcement.
And you guys have seen me before a few times, but I'm here to help you guys if you have questions or can't reach your escrow officer. We're happy to reach out. So
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right, next in-house partner, all right, you should already know, Encompass. We've got Trace Miller here. I'm going to actually tell Trace's part for him because he talks a lot. So I just like to cut him off. He's gonna pass out a flyer. As you know, for your first 5 deals with Encompass, your clients get $1,000 lender credit for your first 5 deals. And so make sure and keep that on the top of your mind. Now, just recently, Encompass rolled out a credit repair program, which is actually pretty awesome. So ELG's Consumer Credit Education Program is what they call it. It basically takes your client from not having good credit to good credit. Trace told me the other day they had one that 35 days, got 185 points on their credit, right? So I'm going to play a little clip here. Instead of us talking, I'm going to play a little clip from this.
Hey agents, what if you could help your credit challenged clients become pre-approved buyers? Encompass Lending Group's Consumer Credit Education Program works with your clients to educate them on overcoming credit challenges, and at no cost when they choose Encompass Lending Group as their lender. In just 90 to 120 days, we've helped credit challenged clients become qualified home buyers. You can count on Encompass Lending Group for expert guidance, helpful education, and rapid response. Now isn't the time to miss out on potential deals. Learn how we can turn your clients' credit challenges into closings. Learn more and register your client today.
Any questions for Trace on this or $1,000 credit or anything else?
I would throw it out this year. Obviously, there's been an absence of a lender for a while here, but we're looking for talent. Encompass has an incentive that if you know a lender that you like and they're not happy where they're at and they choose to go over here, they'll pay the referring agent up to $15,000 if you refer somebody that comes over to the Encompass household, I think. So Yeah, if you, like I said, you have a lender you like and they're not happy, come reach out to me.
Awesome. Thanks, Trace.
Okay.
Trace does a great job. If you don't know where he is, end of the hall by the coffee machine, we select him as far back in the office as we possibly could. Very, very back.
It happens all the time. Is Jason still around?
Jason is still here. Jason works up in the Union Park office. Okay. So, but you can reach out to Jason as well.
Jason's awesome too.
Jason's awesome. Okay. Okay.
No,
All right, so-
those of you who don't know, Trace has been my main lender for 30 years, does a good job.
Which is a really good reason not to use it. I'm-
Thank you. Appreciate it.
He's closed both of the loans that put in front of him.
2 loans in 30 years. That's amazing. That's awesome. All right, let me make sure my audio's on before we do this one.
I'm staying.
Do we have a drum roll?
No, no drum rolls. All right, so I'm going to preface this, as most of you know, Fathom does not have offices anywhere else except for Utah and Idaho, and that's it, right? And so we have been told by our landlord here that we can no longer stay. They sold this space to Jones CPA upstairs. They're taking over this space and the space next door. And so that you know, this will no longer be the office. Instead, we're moving. We're going to move to the UCAR building. So we will be at the UCAR building, 3rd floor. That will give you great access to some amazing stuff over there. They've got a recording studio you can use from time to time, as well as some other, obviously, CE classes and other rooms that you can use downstairs. We will have a larger room as far as the training room, less office space, but it's good to have a bigger training room. We'll only have one conference room over there. It's actually smaller. So our square footage total, oh, this conference room, a little bit bigger than this. Yeah. So not huge, but it's a good sized conference room. Great facility. We were really lucky. This actually worked out really well. The timing on it all. And so it's going to be a great move for all of us. And if you're south, it makes you a minute and a half closer. And if you're north, it makes you a minute and a half further.
Haven't seen it? Drop down to the 2nd floor and check out the recording studio that we as agents all have the ability to use for free.
It's an amazing recording studio. So if you guys ever want to record videos and stuff like that, great place. They will not record me singing ever. But so we're going to start. Our plan is to be moved in somewhere around the 1st of October. It's probably going to be somewhat of a transition period. We're gonna move fairly quickly on this, as quickly as we can. We will have our next CE class there for sure. That's the 2nd week of October, and then all meetings going forward for sure will be over there. So we'll be moving fairly quickly. If you have the ability or desire or facilities to help us move, we would love to have you do that. Just reach out to Maya. She'll coordinate all that. She's the one that coordinates everything in the office. So questions?
I know, like, on Google Maps, there's a lot of agents that have this as their address.
There's a lot that you guys are going to have to think about. We've already started we've known about this since the 1st of August. In fact, we got hit with this just as the NAR changes were happening. And so I had that and the NAR changes and the commission changes like all at the same time, right? Pretty much, right? So when you didn't get weekend videos on the weekend, this is part of it, right? I had a lot on my plate. And so, but we've known for a while, we've got a list put together of what you guys are going to need to do and what you're going to need to know. And so we'll get that out to you as soon as we can. We've had to have this under wraps until just yesterday is when we finally got the lease signed. And so we just didn't want to put it out there and scare you all that we were going to go away and never have an office. Fathom has committed to Utah that we will have offices going forward, right? So you never have to worry about that. We will always have an office.
Well, they don't have offices in other states.
They do not. Idaho's the only other state that has an office. So Utah and Idaho. Yeah. All right, we'll move on to the meat of the topic. If you guys only came for the big announcement, then you can leave.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Great. Do we have an address, or there's no suite number? Is that the actual address?
Suite number is 301, and we've got an address. We'll put it out. Oh, it's right there. 1031 West Center Street, number 301.
Okay, thank you.
And it'll go out with the slides and the recording and all that on Friday. All right, meat of it. And if you want to leave, you're welcome to, but we'll move on to the meat of the topic or the meeting.
Is there a requirement that we have to change our address on, with our license?
Your license should be your home address. You shouldn't have that as your brokerage address. Yeah. You will need to change it on the MLS and a few other places on your business cards. Like there are lots of places you're going to have to change it, but we'll get you a list. So if you saw in a recent Fathom Nat, Fathom Realty was named as the top in agent satisfaction across all brokerages across the nation, which is a pretty big honor. And so if you love being here, if you love the training that you get, if you love the freedom you have to do what you want with your money, if you love the support that you get, just share it, guys. Share it with an agent, help them come over and enjoy what you have. It doesn't diminish what you get at all. You're going to still get the same of everything. And so help them out. And so to do that, and in fact, with the new plans, if you help someone come over that's had 2 or more deals, you actually get revenue share from them. And so you get part of Fathom's share of the commission in your own pocket, right? So if I was underneath Wade and I close a deal, when I pay my $550 over to Fathom, then Wade would get 10% of that. So $55 or whatever, right? And so as you refer agents, it actually helps you, but that's not usually why you're refer agents. Usually you refer agents because of these things. We're not here to make you recruiters. That's not my goal. I know that some people in Fathom would think that's a good idea. I don't. I think it's a good idea that you guys go sell real estate. It's why you're in the business, right? But if you do know agents, this is how you'll do that. So you'll go into IntelliAgent, you'll click on your picture, then you'll click on My Profile, then you'll scroll down. From there, this is what it looks like, and you'll scroll down, and down about halfway in your website section, it will have your join link, okay? And your join link is usually whatever your Fathom webpage name is /join. And you'll give that out to whatever agent you would like to join the brokerage. They will sign up, they'll go in, they'll have this screen pop up, allows them to pick a plan, or they can reach out to me or whatever. And from that point, they're underneath you as far as an agent that you referred. So it makes it really easy for them to both join and for you to get credit for doing that. And if you ever have questions about how to do that, you can call me. That's what I'm here for. All right, Summit. We've talked a lot about this, but registration does close on the 30th. There's a ton of great stuff for Fathom, guys. Or sorry, for Summit. If you haven't looked at what we're offering, there are going to be some incredible classes there. Some good access to new resources, such as the listing kit that they're going to put together. And also some special announcements that you'll hear first in Summit. So if you haven't had a chance to register for that, go to fathomsummit.com and register. Registration closes in 7 days.
What are the dates of the summit?
12th and 13th. November 12th and 13th.
And price now.
Price, I think, is $725. Plus lodging and food, drinks, drugs, gambling, strippers, all the Las Vegas stuff, right? Yeah. And I don't know how much of that is you can write off on your taxes. I'm really not 100% sure. If you haven't seen the email from me about Fathom Business Services, please go back and find that email. It says something like urgent or whatever, read this, something like that. If you haven't seen it, go back and read it. This is a program that only Utah agents right now are involved in. We are a pilot for the rest of the country. And so we're going to be the ones deciding how this works, if it works, how to change it, how to make it better. This is all about coaching you and giving you better access to systems that will help you improve, as well as you'll see some stuff on the lending side and other things. For me, one of the biggest things that you're going to get first, you're going to start getting calls from Mari. Mari is our AI bot that will call you. If I didn't tell you, you probably wouldn't even know. You'll probably think it was a person. And she's going to have a conversation with you about what you like and what you don't like about Fathom. Be really honest, right? The people behind this is a group that's a little bit different than the group that's kind of been running how Fathom Realty works currently. And so they are very, very interested in your feedback, making sure that you're happy, finding ways to cure things that you don't like and improve things that you do like. So be really honest, have a nice conversation with Mari, and she'll not really care, but be really happy and enjoy that, right? So let's talk a little bit about strategy for listings, because I get this question probably more than anything else about how to price a listing and what do I do after I price it and I get it on the market. I get these calls daily from lots of you, calls, texts, emails about this. So I just wanted to go through a few things, and this is a very high level overview, but hopefully gives you some idea of some things that you can do. When you're pricing, don't be shy about consulting an expert, right? If you're just sitting there looking at it and you have no clue where to go with it, call me, right? And let's walk through it. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out where you're at. Let me give you some hints or maybe some comps, some ideas on where you can go with it. And also, as needed, and I've even told a few of you when you've come to me, get an appraiser involved early, right? Go out and have that property appraised that's just different than everything else. That's something that we just can't pull together. It's a good idea to get that appraiser involved and make sure that you're actually on target with that pricing. Excuse me. Number two, prepare net sheets, right? And this is something that I've done for years. I will go in with net sheets on the high end, the low end, and something in the middle, right? And I'll show them all of those. What does a seller really care about? Really only two things. One, they want to get their house sold, and two, their bottom line, right? And they think they care about who lives there, and they think they care about who's going to take care of their beautiful garden, and they think all these things that they think, right, that the neighbors are going to like. The reality is they really only care about getting their house sold so they can move and getting enough money so they can move, right? And so when you go in with those net sheets, that gives them the opportunity to see the ranges and decide, you know what, there's just not that much of a difference if I price a little lower, and the chances of me selling are higher if I price a little lower. And so that helps them make a good decision as they move forward. Number three, consider a pre-inspection. So we had Mike in here. He does pre-inspections. Lots of inspectors do. Have somebody go in and do that inspection ahead of time so that you know what's wrong with the property, especially if it's a dilapidated property. A lot of sellers who think that they have an awesome house and it looks terrible when you walk in, and they tell you how awesome their house is. If you'll do an inspection and have an inspector tell them about the house, that will solve a lot of that problem. That will help them understand there are problems with this house.
So you type that yourself?
Yep. Yeah. So look, I'm taking on average $13,000 commission, right? So for me to spend $600 for a pre-inspection, to pay for, and my next one is staging, to pay for staging, to pay for professional photos, like all the things that I do out of my pocket, total somewhere around $2,000, right? Including all the marketing and everything else. If I'm taking a $13,000 commission and paying $2,000 out, that's pretty good margin, right? I think any company would be happy with that. You're out. It's part of doing business. Tax write-off in most cases, right? So it's part of doing business. Number four, consider a staging consult. I do this especially with people who have deer heads on every wall in the house. And I say, hey, you might want to take those down. And they say, sorry, I love those. I'm not taking them down. It's easier if I have a stager come in and walk through the house with them and say, hey, this house just isn't going to sell like this. We need to do X, Y, Z, right? And the staging consult cost me maybe $200. And she will put together a nice list of everything that needs to happen and give it to the seller. The seller doesn't have to use her for staging at all. That's just a staging consult that happens. If she does end up getting the business as a stager, then she takes my fee and waives it, right? I don't pay the $200. Instead, they just do the staging fee. And so in the end, it's a really good win-win for me because they tell the client how ugly their house is and what they need to repaint. And I don't have to be the bad guy, right? Number five, double check the competition. And so when you get ready to list, this is what I always do. I'll set a price. I'll talk to the client. We'll set it in stone the day before. I go live, And that day, I always go and pull a price range in an area right around where I'm going to make sure that I'm actually still competitive, right? Because in the end, comps and solds and all that are nice, but the reality is that we're dealing with what's active on the market right now. That's our competition. So make sure that you're priced correctly with the competition. Number 6, monitor your feedback and adjust accordingly. If you haven't had more than 10 showings in 2 weeks, you're probably going to want to make a price adjustment. If you are getting no showings at all in 10 days, probably a good sign. But there are some caveats to that as well, depending on where you're at, days on market of your area and price point and those kind of things, right? Number 7, use the aligned showings report. And so there is a showing report in aligned showings where you can see how many showings on average in your price point houses are getting, right? And you can actually pull it up, 84057 between 500 and 600,000. It shows that the average house was having 2 showings this week. Well, I had 5. Great, 5 is awesome, right? I had 1. Well, I'm a little bit low, right? I had 0. It's a problem. Right? And so that will give you some idea of what's happening with the rest of the houses in your price range. It's an aligned showings report, and so anybody can pull that through aligned showings. And lastly, give sellers a weekly update. And this is one I think that most agents forget, right? They forget to actually communicate and help their sellers understand what's happening on a weekly basis with their listing. They let it go 2, 3, 4, sometimes longer before they update their sellers as far as what's going on. Tell your sellers what's come online, what's gone under contract, what's sold, what the trends are, like where things are going, what's happening in the market. Give them a consolidation of all their feedback so that they have some idea how many showings they're getting versus how many other properties are getting. And so all those things, if you give them an update, will make them feel like you're working way harder than you probably are, since you're probably just sitting in your chair, crossing your fingers and hoping it sells, right? That's what most of us do. Questions or comments on any of that, since it's super high level? Okay.
Well, we'll get a copy of it.
You'll get all these slides. Yep, and I'm recording of the meeting and everything else.
Hey, Jeff.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure you probably have hired a stager. I'm just wondering, do you know like a pricing on what a normal stager would cost or?
So it depends on what you're going to have staged. On average, you're going to pay somewhere between $1,500 and $3,500 for staging, depending on how much needs to be done and what kind of a stager you're using. So some stagers will go in and they'll actually use a lot of the client's stuff and it'll be cheaper. Some will go in and they don't want anything there. They want to bring all their own stuff in. And so it will be more expensive. So, yeah, on a monthly basis. Some have a month basis, some have a 2-month basis. Some will do it for life of contract. Just depends on who you're using and what you're looking for. Okay, let's talk about NAR settlement. This is your point of view if you have shown a house without a buyer broker agreement. Right? Isn't that what we all expect? We go show a house and where the FBI is going to show up and haul us off and put us in jail. It's probably not true. I don't know. Nobody's done it yet that I know of. Right? So let's go through a few things that I get asked every day, pretty much twice or 3 times a day. Number 1, do I need a showing agreement to show my own listing? So I've got my listing. My buyer calls me and I'm going to represent a buyer. Can I see your house? Do I, as a listing agent, need to have an agreement signed with them to come see the house? No.
It's like an open house.
Correct. Open houses or showing your own listings, you do not have to have an agreement. Okay, so you're welcome to show those.
I love tests.
Number 2, this is not a test, and you will probably pass. Should I use the brokerage compensation agreement, or should I just put the BAC in the rep C?
In the rep C. If you have an agreed upon commission from the agent, then you could send over the compensation agreement just so you lock that in. But if you don't, or they're like, just send your offer with whatever, then you would just send it in the rep C.
Okay. So there's ways to do this both ways and sometimes both together, right? There's not one good answer to this. And so if you're wondering about your particular situation, this is probably one you should still just call me on and say, this is what I'm up against. what should I do for compensation? What's going to be the best way to approach that?
Okay, so I'm only gonna put stuff in the rep sheet, just so y'all know. But I could have an agreement with them for 3%, but then they really, really love this home, but they need to drop the price, and I could write 2% in the rep sheet, get them the home at a little bit less. But if it falls through and we have to go to a new home, I could still go to my 3%.
Yes, because you
That's
haven't
fine.
amended your buyer broker.
Now, could you put a lower one in the brokerage compensation?
Yes.
And do the same thing I'm doing? Okay.
As long as you don't amend your buyer broker agreement,
Okay.
you're totally fine to go back to the 3% if you don't get the offer. Either way. All right, I list the full commission. I list the full commission in 2.1 of the exclusive right to sell. So that first section that has the first amount for your compensation in the ERS. Should that be the full commission offer, both buyer and seller? No. I get this every day and everybody always gets it wrong when they call me. They're all calling and saying, hey, I have 6% here and I'm just making sure that I'm okay to put 2% in the next section. I'm like, no, you don't put 6% there. You don't put 5% there, right? You put 2.5 or 2 or 3 or whatever your personal listing amount is in section 2.1. And then you put the other part in section 2.2. It's only clear if you read it.
Oh.
Nobody actually reads it, right?
See, I read.
Nobody reads it, so that's why. So just don't put the full amount there. And that's a change. All right. Discussion. What problems have you come up against? What issues? What questions do you have? What problems? Or are we all good and everything's back to normal and everybody's happy? Wade?
It seems pretty smooth to me so far. I think agents are doing a good job coaching their sellers along on the changes, and that everybody that I've asked about a compensation has had something in place. You know, sometimes that varies, but at least they've had that discussion with their sellers, and sellers are, so far in my cases, have all been willing to pay a buyer's compensation. So I think it doesn't seem out of, almost seems like the days of old. We're just having to ask about it instead of looking at the MLS for it.
Yep.
So even if your exclusive right to sell says the seller's going to pay me, let's say 2% or 3%, and they put a fat 0 for the buyer's agent, when we get an offer on the rep sheet or through the buyer broker agreement, and they're looking for commission or compensation, we can still talk that. Because we can only change the buyer, you cannot change the buyer, right?
So section 2.1, your commission says 2.5. Section 2.2, offer to the buyer says 0%. Rep C comes in and says, we'll say 3%.
Okay.
Okay. Can this be, is this okay? Can the seller pay this? Even though they put 0 here?
Yes.
I'm not, you're right.
Can you put it there on 2.2? Well, yeah, but
You
already
can.
signed it a long time
What does
ago.
2.2 do?
It says what we're willing to offer up to.
What does it do? So if you read it, so if you read it, 2.2 authorizes the listing agent to advertise this amount, right? So this is just, hey, I can tell people about this, right? It doesn't bind the seller to pay it. It doesn't say that you as the agent will pay it. It just simply says, I have the authorization now to tell Wade when he calls that this is how much I'm offering. So if Wade calls, I cannot say, yeah, go ahead and put 3% in your offer. I can only say, currently we're not offering any commission. That's what I'm authorized. If you ask your seller and you get permission to say that,
So if they put 0 there, I can't even say.
you can only say, sorry, I have no authorization to tell you that we're paying any BAC.
Say we don't know.
Do you know?
Well, I do know it's 0.
Then can you say that? Right? Just a second, you'll be next. Go ahead.
Oh, so the 2.2 though is going to be paid to the brokerage, and then the brokerage pays the other brokerage, and when it's in the REPC, then the seller's just paying it directly at closing and not the brokerage.
And so you don't get confused. None of that matters. Title will take it out and pay who needs to be paid.
I'm in my brain, I was just thinking how the seller's agent would give me answers like, what commission are you, what's your BAC? And they'll say, depending on how much your offer is gonna come in. So are they putting to be TBD on 2.2 then?
Nope. It might be 0, it might be 3, it might be 2.5. We don't know, and it doesn't really matter, right? The reality is,
Like, how much your offer is gonna come through.
yeah, it doesn't really matter, right? So if I have a $600,000 house and I write an offer at $1.5 million, I'll bet I can get a 3% every time, right? If I have a $600,000 house and I offer 400,000, they're probably going to counter me back on my commission every single time, right? And so that's what they're saying is we're going to negotiate this based on price. They're not really saying where this is. They're not giving you any hints to help you.
Yeah.
But legally,
Which is
what
fine.
can I say? There is no commission being offered.
That's all you can say if you haven't had a different discussion with your seller. We're not currently offering any BAC. And so when I get that, right, I call Wade and Wade says, hey, sorry, we're not offering any BAC. I write a rep C at 3%.
Okay.
I don't care, right?
Also tell your buyers, like, hey, this house, they're not paying commission, but we will still ask.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
They say, but if they don't, then this is how my price is.
Perfect conversation. That's awesome.
So
If your seller says, I want to put 0, but I will entertain reps that come in with an offer of compensation, can you tell the agent that?
Yeah, then you just say, currently we're at 0, but we will entertain anything that comes through. Right? It's all about the communication and the conversation.
It's 3, then there you could say we're offering one, just make an offer and we'll review it every
You
year.
could.
You don't have to tell them it's 3 either.
You don't have to.
Make an offer.
But if Wade calls me and I say, hey, we're offering 3%, Wade's like, I am all over this. I'm writing that offer right now, right? I love that, right? And so that does incentivize people to make those offers. So you have to kind of have that conversation and that balance of where do I sit with this, right? Anything else on NAR, or sorry, on the settlement? We do have a few more NAR things. All right, we'll move on to the next NAR thing. I don't know if any of you have paid attention. I pay attention to this stuff every day because I have to. But there's a huge kind of boiling over right now about clear cooperation. So clear cooperation is the agreement where you have to have a property on the MLS within 24 hours of publicly marketing it, right? That's the requirement through NAR. And there's currently a backlash against that of lots of a few industry pros who want to remove that. They want to have clear cooperation rule removed. And so you've got that on this side. On the other side, you've got a bunch of realtors who do not want it removed. And so there's currently a big debate going around about this. On the against side, you've got Compass, Robert, who's saying it's a legal and a financial risk to have clear cooperation in place. So what he's saying is we may actually be illegally putting people's personal information out on the MLS and violating privacy concerns by doing so, right? We're forcing them to do it even though they don't want to, right? And financial, same thing, right? They could sue us because we're forcing them to put it on the MLS when they don't actually want it put on the MLS, right? So if I've got a seller who's like, look, I'm going through a divorce. I don't want my property publicly marketed. I just want you to tell some agents about it and see if you can get it sold. But right now I need to keep it on the down low. We can't do that, right? If we publicly market.
That option.
Not if you publicly market.
We can do the MLS exclusion form though, right?
Correct. But you can't publicly market in any way, right? So you can't do any public marketing. So Mauricio, but they're not usually agents, right? So Mauricio Umansky, or however you say his last name, from the agency, he says the homeowner should have the freedom to choose how he or she wants to market their home for sale, period, end of story, right? The home seller should be able to say how they want their home marketed. That's his take. On the other side, Zillow, of course, is on the other side, right? And I'm not saying either, I have no horse in this game. I really don't, I can go either way on this, right? But Zillow says it's imperative to keep an equitable market, right? It's imperative that we have all the listings on the MLS so that all agents have access to it and so that it's equal across the board, right? That's the argument there. Glenn Kelman from Redfin said no one should have to know a secret Facebook group to see a listing, right? Studies also show that the buyers most likely to lose access to pocket listing are buyers of color. So in studies, they've shown that discrimination is prevalent in this type of a situation, right? Where we don't have to list. I don't want to have it marketed to Asians. And so I don't want you to go to anybody who's got a buyer or an agent who's Asian. So just keep it within the white community, right? So what is NAR doing? NAR, the advisory board, weighed in on a wide range of perspectives. They had a meeting with the advisory board and they weighed in on a wide range of perspectives, including buyers, sellers, real estate agents, real estate professionals, as well as fair housing principles. The advisory board will consider the next steps with the leadership team sometime in October. So this is going to be a continual thing that you guys are going to see. You're going to have to probably take a stance one side or the other as to where it's at. Additional NAR news, NAR published three guides. I think we're now up to 6 guides. So these 3 were offers of compensation, what a veteran needs to know about buying a home, and negotiating written buyer agreements. These are 3 guides that are publicly available and pushed out to the public. How much the public pays attention to this, I don't know. I don't have a good feel because I'm in it all the time, so I see it, right? But this is some of the stuff that's in there.
His age pay attention to it.
Probably not as much as I do, right? So buyers don't need to sign an agreement if they're going to an open house or asking about your services. They will need to sign an agreement before touring a home. Most aspects of your agreement can be negotiated. So they do push negotiation fairly hard in all of these guides. Remember that compensation is fully negotiable and agents can get paid in a number of ways, a flat fee, an hourly fee, a percentage of the purchase, etc. And then this one, quote, you or your agent can walk away from a negotiation at any time. Keep looking for the right fit. Another agent may be better able to meet your needs. So whether or not these guides are good for agents or bad for agents, I'm on the fence, right? I think there's a lot of stuff in these that are good for the public to know. There's some of this that actually pushes them the other way. And so where the National Association of Realtors sits with some of this stuff is under fire. You'll see a lot of news about this, a lot of tweets and posts about this. And so just pay attention to what's happening with them.
Last one. What's the point of an agreement? I'm confused.
No, they're saying, look, you can negotiate. You and I can negotiate. And if you don't like it and we don't fit well together, we encourage you to go find an agent that's going to work.
But like you can't if you've got the.
Not a representation.
So I'm just negotiating, right? Before I've got the exclusive right to sell and I'm saying, hey, Leah, we're going to sign this at 3%. You're like, no, we're going to sign it at 1. I'm like, no, we're going to sign it at 3. And you're like, no, we're going to sign it at 1. And you say, once it's signed, you cannot. Well, there are ways, but you should not. Okay. All right, moving on. Fathom serves in December. So this is where we get together as a brokerage and serve the community. And so for December, we've decided that we're going to back Promise to Live. Promise to Live is a suicide prevention organization. And so we're gonna help them. Barb Dill is actually very much involved in this. And this is where this idea came. Well, she helped me with this idea. She's gonna head up and help us kind of take care of it. Some stats on suicide. Utah is consistently one of the highest suicide rates in the nation. Suicide among Utah youth is almost double the national average, right? And in the last 9 months, we've actually had 3 of our clients that were under contract with us commit suicide, right? 4 now? Oh, okay. Yeah, so 4 within the last 9 months, right? 4. Yeah. So Yeah, they've all been sellers. Is yours a seller? Yeah, so they've all been sellers. Couple have been in the middle of a divorce situation and other factors that went into it. And during the transaction actually committed suicide, right? One of them, the agent was very close with, very good friends with this person, lifelong friends, and he committed suicide, right? And they're extremely sad stories. I get them because the agent calls me and says, now what do I do, right? But they're heartbreaking stories. And so this is a major issue. It's a major issue nationwide. It's a major issue here in Utah. And so we're gonna work towards finding some ways to support this. If you'd like to be involved now, get a hold of Barb and she'll help you get involved right away. But this is something that we're going to work towards for December. We're looking at things as far as they have these coins that you can give to those who may be in danger that are called a pocket hug. It just reminds them that, hey, you're loved. They can take that around with them wherever they go. And so we'll be finding some ways to get those into more pockets. And we may even go as far as, hey, if you want to donate a percentage of each one of your closings in December or something like that. Okay. So if you have ideas or want to be involved, please let us know. Stats, I'll go through these quickly, but there are some really good ones here. Owner occupied homes with no mortgage. So homes that are owned free and clear, no mortgage whatsoever, right? Stat is the highest percentage. So Texas, a bunch of them, top 4 are in Texas. 62% of homeowners in Brownsville own their home outright, right? These are the lowest 5. Number 5, I blocked out. It's in Utah. Anybody want to guess? Lowest percentage of home ownership that own their homes free and clear.
West Valley.
Park City.
Price. Provo. Okay. Provo's number 5 of the owners there all have mortgages, or at least like 70% of them have mortgages, right? So that's an amazing stat. I'm not going to play this video. I'm going to go past it fairly quickly, but just so you know, the Fed did, if you don't already know, the Fed did announce a rate cut of 0.5% just last week. That has started to create some good ripples through our industry, and so that's a good thing.
On September 18th,
I'm going to go back. So they've also announced that they're going to probably do another half cut, so 2 25-point cuts through 2024, and an additional 1% in 2025. Additional 1% of cuts, probably in quarter cuts, 4 of those. That will all depend on inflation numbers, jobless numbers, economy, blah 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 blah. Right, but that's what they're currently anticipating. So I ordered. You can see I've ordered my crystal ball. It's here on the table. I did. It's here. I've got my crystal ball, and so if you guys want to know where rates are going to be at any point in time, just call me and I'll gaze into it and do my ritual. I'll let you know where we're going to be. Okay? I will definitely do that. Yeah. So I don't know where for sure, but I think we're headed in a good direction at this point. If you've got clients, even with this latest 0.5-point cut that we've had, if you've got clients that bought in the high 7s, this might actually be a good time for them to refi, right? If they can hold off a little while, then it probably will get better. But there are some really good things about reaching out to your clients right now and just saying, hey, I know you're not going to move anytime soon. I just wanted to be the professional and let you know this is what's happening in our industry and what you can expect. Okay. Freddie Mac national average, you can see this was as of September 19th, we were down to 6.09. And so if we continue to see rate cuts, and we will probably see those, we may get into the mid 5s by the end of the year, which would be really nice. First part of next year, we may maybe hit around 5, right? If we get really lucky. Now remember, Fed rate does not equal mortgage rate, right? So 1-point Fed rate cut does not mean this automatically goes to 5.9, right? It just means that's the amount that the banks can borrow money for.
So that's something you should consider when you're thinking about trying to negotiate a buy down. because that's wasted money if the rate's dropping up.
Yeah, it's waste of money if the rates drop and or if they're gonna do a refi fairly quickly. Because you're,
Still get the money, it's still there.
what you're doing is you're taking your closing costs and you're buying interest, right? And so because you're buying that interest, if you then refi, that rate now takes over and the money that you bought for 2 years of interest, if I refi in 1 year, I've now wasted 1 year of closing cost money.
Isn't it faster or we might get it back if we refinance?
It depends. Yeah, it just depends on your terms. So it's possible. Yep. This is inflation rate. So inflation rate tells us where the Fed wants us to be. The Fed wants us to be at 2%. We're at 2.5% right now. And so we're getting there. You can see we're on the right path. And so I think that those rate cuts will continue. We've got good inflation numbers. The CPI numbers that are coming in look really good. I would anticipate we'll see that. I showed these next two slides in the last team meeting in June as well, but just as a reminder for that presidential election stuff, we've got a lot of home buyers on the sidelines right now that are saying, hey, I'm waiting for the election. It has zero bearing on their house. I mean, quite honestly, I don't care if you're buying $1 trillion house or a $150,000 house. The president is not going to change your price or anything else, right? It's just not going to, unless maybe, I think Kamala said she's going to do 25,000 if you live in California or something. I can't remember.
But at the same time, Trump was a real estate.
And Trump was so there you go. You've got either one could drastically change the price of your house at any moment. In any case, over the last 9 presidential elections, after the presidential election, home sales, the number of sales went up dramatically after November, right? The following year, it went up dramatically. And the home prices, because sales also went up, home prices went up, right? And so this is something to be talking to your clients about. Home prices, if interest rates go down and we get past the election, you're likely to see pretty good inflation, right? Pretty good pricing increases. So just be aware, if you've got buyers on the market, now's probably a better time than in November, December, January to buy. Market stats currently for September, we've got 11,455 active listings. In the last 90 days, we've sold 9,600 properties and we've got 55,001 homes under contract. Compare that to June, because I didn't take July or August stats. June, we had 10,000. We're up about 1,000 listings. Listing numbers are continually creeping up, right? Our active listings, you can see since February have gone up pretty steadily. They continue to creep up. That's because there's just not a lot of buyer demand. Our under contracts, this is a weird stat to me. I'm not 100% sure that it's accurate, but I'm going to go with it because this is what the MLS is reporting. We actually zoomed way up over 5,000 under contract listings. In August, we were down just over 4,000, and now we're only partway through September and we're way over 5,000. Not sure that's accurate, but this is what it's showing as far as the data. If I were to ask you, from July to August, were we slower, better, the same as far as number of sales? How do you feel the market was in August compared to July?
Slow.
So interestingly, it was pretty much the same, right? Almost every agent I talked to in August and leading into September has told me the market is super slow right now. I can't believe how much slower it is than the rest of the year. Sold numbers don't say that. Sold numbers show that we've been pretty much steady all the way since about April. So we had a little bit of a bump in May, and then it's been just kind of a steady market. Now, it may not be as strong as we need it to be or want it to be as sales agents, but it is a pretty steady market.
Hey, just a quick question.
Yeah.
The average.
Yeah, there's always a pretty good number difference there between the two. As you throw out those high value properties and low value properties and get to the median, that median price tends to be a little bit more accurate than the average. So you'll usually want to go off the average.
Average is the cream of the crop.
Yep. Days on market has continued to creep up. I would say it's more likely in the middle of the two, of the median and the average. And so we're probably somewhere, depending on your particular zip code, somewhere in the high 40s to low 50s days on market. So your clients need to know that it's not one of those markets where, you know, a week later you've got something under contract. Maybe if you're lucky, but in most cases you're waiting a month to 2 months before you're going under contract. Top agents currently in the brokerage, they're almost identical for both volume and transaction numbers. Volume is the number of dollars sold. Transactions is the number of transactions that you've done. So Tim was here, and Joseph was here as well. Todd, Cameron, and Shelly, all great agents, and they're all very sharing agents. And so if you want to know what they're doing to be successful, reach out. I'm sure they would love to go to lunch with you. Top compliance issues. I'll go through these fairly quickly. These are the ones that I have seen consistently over the past 2 months. Number one, please make sure you upload all of your documents to IntelliAgent when you're doing it. I know that sometimes there's not a space for an extra addendum and you have to create a new folder or whatever to put it in, or for those CC&Rs or for whatever document that you're getting, a power of attorney, just make sure you're uploading every single one of those. And a lot of times this comes back on you because for the next one, your purchase price has to match what's actually the final sales price, right? So if you've got a $500,000 purchase price and your net is $490 because you paid $10,000, your seller paid $10,000 in the buyer's closing costs, you don't put in a final sales price of $490. The final sales price is still $500, right? You just have concessions and you'll take that into account later. But a lot of times what I see is agents don't ever upload this addendum up here that changed the price from $500 to $490. And then I get an email from accounting saying, hey, I've got a contract that says it's $500, but you submitted it at $490. What's going on? And so I'll go back to the agent. I'm like, where are we with this? I'm like, oh yeah, I've got 3 more addendas. Like, well, okay, let's upload them, right? So if you've got addendums, put them in there so that I can actually make sure you get paid correctly. Transaction fees, huge one. So title loves to call you and say, hey, do you have a transaction fee, right? And all of you say, yeah, it's $550. And it's not $550, okay? Your transaction fee with the brokerage is $550, but that's not what they're asking. What they're really asking is, are you charging the client a transaction fee on top of whatever commission you're getting or your fees or whatever, right? Is there a transaction fee that you charge them in addition? 99% of you don't charge a transaction fee. For those that do, you can report that to title, but don't tell them that it's a $550 because then it will come back on the CDA and it'll show that your buyer paid $550. You'll be wondering why your buyer, when it was out of pocket an extra $550 to you and you don't have it in your buyer broker agreement, it just causes all kinds of problems. So in most cases, this is no, I don't charge a transaction fee. Okay, like the vast majority of you, no, this is just a no. Your BAC, we've talked about this before, your BBA and your ERS cannot be amended up. So your commissions cannot be amended up. We've talked about that ad nauseum, but it still continues to be a thing where agents will call me and say, yeah, but they're offering, right? I just got this email from Meridian Homes yesterday offering 4%, right? You might want to consider writing your BBAs at 4%. There's a lot of builders out there offering incentives and other things that you could get if you write it in.
I was in a coaching program yesterday, and he was saying that most of the high-end producers are going 4.5% on their BAC and getting it.
Yep.
I mean, we have to remember when we sign this agreement, we're at the beginning of the transaction. We have no idea how far of the valley we're going to travel, how many times we're going to travel, how many homes we're going to show. So to give yourself away at 2%, in my opinion, is ridiculous. Go 4.5. You can always negotiate down, but you can't come back up.
Yep.
And if you put in that effort, you might as well get paid for it.
Yeah.
Especially if you got
my longest contract ever was 2.5 years and 140 properties shown, right? So I would have loved to get 4% for that. I'm sure I did not. So, advertising rules, just reminders, guys, if you have a personal Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, X, etc., the brokerage name needs to be one click away or on the advertisement itself, but at the very least, one click away, and it has to show your brokerage name conspicuously and clearly, okay? If it's a business Facebook page, the brokerage name should be on the page and included in each advertisement. So in every single one of your advertisements, just put Fathom Realty, like just make sure you do it, right? Or put the logo on the picture, whatever it is, make sure that you're branding it. The division is all over this. They love handing out $500 fines. So please be very careful. MLS news, this one's a new one that most of you who have scheduled a showing have now noticed. If you try to schedule a showing off of a line showing, it's going to pop up a little box that says you agree that you have a buyer broker signed, or you will have an agreement signed before going and showing the home. Just be aware, that's all it's saying. It's just reminding you, it's not tying you into anything. It's just telling you you have to have something signed. You can now add your web page link to your profile on the MLS. So if you go to your profile on the MLS, you can put your web page in there. When clients go to the MLS and search agents and find you, they can now go to your web page. So that's now available. And lastly, they just barely updated this when they added LLCs and trusts to owner types. So if you're selling on behalf of an LLC or a trust, you can now mark that. So you will want to make sure that you take that into account. Every Friday from now until eternity, as far as I know, 11 o'clock up at Union Park, Don will be doing the Fathom Learning Lab. That is a hands-on, bring your laptop type of a deal. Currently going through websites, the Intel Agent websites. He goes through a lot of different topics, but that's going to be the next 3 or 4 weeks is on websites. So if you're interested in that, that's every Friday at 11 o'clock up in the Union Park office. Client appreciation, we are doing our pie event again this year. It will be November 25th. You can choose your own schedule as far as the amount of time you want to be here. If you want to be here all day or just a couple hours or whatever. We typically have a nice dessert bar, hot chocolate bar, and all kinds of things that Maya sets up for us. She does awesome with this. It's a great time for your clients to come in. Just say, hey, thank you. Love having you as a client. Give them a pie. I get mine at Costco. They're like $6 for this huge pie. And I swear, all my clients are always like, how long does it take you to bake? Blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, just do you not go to Costco? Like it comes in the Costco. I don't know.
Top off the number of real estate agents at a certain point because it's
No.
I guess.
We usually don't have too many, and especially since we'll be in our new space, we've got plenty of space over there. If we had more than like 25 or 30, we would probably start to consider at that point, but we've never gotten to that point.
And how many pies do you typically give away yourself?
Usually right around 100 is what
How many people you send that to?
Out of all my database, which is somewhere around 600. So yeah, I usually give away 100. I usually start with people that I actually care about, right? Once I get to 100, then I don't send it to the people that I don't care about anymore, who don't refer me business, right? So I always start with those that actually support my business first. And this for me, this is probably one of my biggest referral events. I always come away from this event with 2 or 3 referrals or listings or buys or whatever. So this is a great one to do, and it's relatively cheap. It's like $50 for each agent to split the cost of the desserts and the hot chocolate bar, and then whatever you want to spend on pies. And you can buy 5 and just decide to give out 5, or you can buy 500 and be here all day and have all your clients come in, right? So whatever works for you, you can make it fit into your budget. And it's a really great way just to say, thank you, love you, thanks for supporting my business. Upcoming classes. So October 2nd will be our tech class. I'm going to cover the Reach app. If you haven't ever seen the Reach app is a way to text all of your clients at one time. And it's very cheap. It's like $69 a year. I've used it with you guys. You can put in personalization of their name and you get replies back in your text. It's really nice. Super easy to use. And so I'm going to be covering that October 2nd. October 9th, we'll have a CE class that'll be in our new office. Don't know who or what yet, but Maya's working on it. October 16th is Forms and Legal on Zoom. And then every Friday at 11, the Fathom Learning Labs. And then put on your calendars, guys, December 11th, Christmas party. That will be at UCAR. It will actually be downstairs in their big room downstairs. We had that scheduled before we knew we were leaving here, just because our Christmas parties have been so well attended and it gets really hot in here and lots of people sit on laps, and so it's super fun.
I hope they know the first.
I think 2:00, but we'll get you more information. So. All right, anything I haven't covered, any questions, any concerns, or you're all sick of me and want to go home? If so, we've got Jimmy John's around the corner in the conference room, so grab one of those before you leave. Thanks for being here, and if I can help in any way, you know I'm here for you. Thanks, guys.